So overall, I feel pretty good about the draft now. On draft night, probably was feeling like just throwing a rough grade out there. There was probably like a C,
Mhm.
C minus maybe. But as I delved more into the guys that we drafted, because I can be transparent. I didn't watch film on overs. I didn't watch much film on Overshown. Didn't watch film on Luke. Um, I didn't even know Luke was a prospect, so that's on me because initially when I start my whole draft process, I go to like the main, I guess, draft websites like Draft, NFL Draft Buzz, and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
of course, you listen to the draft gods and PFF and stuff, where they tell you the prospects to keep an eye out on. And
Mhm.
so Luke was just not on my list, so that's my fault. But also like Awesome, Valami, or he just wants to go by Junior Fehoko. So a lot of
Mhm.
these prospects, of course, I did not research them or watch the film on them before we drafted them. So when I'm seeing other prospects there, like Drew Sanders, seeing prospects like Eli Ricks, I was upset because we took that corner before Deuce Vaughn, and Deuce Vaughn was my number one running back. So I was like, just to think that we could have missed out on Deuce Vaughn to get this cornerback. So it was just a lot of those thoughts. But now I'm up. I did my draft review on my channel on YouTube, and I give our draft a B plus
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yes, a
Okay.
B plus. Yeah.
Got it. And I fall in the same category. Doing my pre-draft picks. A lot of these guys didn't even show up on mine, and I missed them. I didn't see them. Just like Luke,
Right.
I'm like, where did he come from? I did
Yeah,
not
just
see at
no
all.
idea. Nobody had no idea who. Well, I won't say
Yeah.
nobody. There were some that did, but most, didn't really know or didn't think. Maybe not so much the content creator community did not know, but he wasn't high, I guess, on
Mhm.
people's draft boards.
Got it. So
Yeah.
since we there, how do you feel about our second round pick? Because I'm kind of like, I was like, I'm not gonna say upset. I just didn't feel like we needed a tight end because I felt that Ferguson and Hendershot could do could carry the team at that
Hmm.
tight end position because they was a rookie last year and now they're going into their second year. But then
Right.
I start to watch some of our friends, West Coast Cowboy and JC Cowboy and things like that, and how they
Right.
stated that maybe they want to go back to that three set tight end. And so then it had
Hmm.
me thinking like, hey, maybe that's why. So now I have to take a step back and like maybe it's a reason for that. So how do you feel about that? About Luke being drafted in the second round.
So when I went through and looked at the prospects that were there, there was Drew Sanders, as I said before, who that was my guy I wanted us to pick. But then there was also Jalen Hyatt there, I believe, for some there were like Josh Downs and things like that. So when you look and then remember that the tight end run went at the top of the second. So all the high end tight ends literally flew off the board. So do I think that picking Luke was a reach? Yes, slightly. I don't think it was a significant reach because most people had him graded in the third, right?
Mhm.
Either third round or top of the fourth. We picked at the bottom of the second, which is essentially like a third. So we reached on him, but not too much. And when you consider how the tight end run went, he wasn't going to be there at the bottom of the third.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to do a slight reach to get him. Now, when I watched his film, I realized that he has elite blocking skills, which goes beyond just, oh, he's a good blocker. Because there's a difference between I have elite blocking skills or he's a good blocker for a tight end.
Right.
So there are those in that category. Like Ferguson, for instance, he's a good blocker for a tight end. He's a pretty good blocker. He finishes right. I watched film on Kittle when he was coming out. He was like the same way he finished guys, but they're not technicians because I mean they're not really asked to do that, or they weren't asked to do that in their respective colleges. But when
Correct.
you have somebody like Luke is a technician. Like what I see him do blocking wise is almost O lineman ish. So if not O lineman ish, so I think when you get a tight end of that caliber with that skill set, it just shows that obviously we're going to be running some 12, 12, 13 personnel.
Correct.
In order for those things to really sell and for in order for you to be able to set up defenses and things like that, you have to be able to run out of those sets, right? Because you want it to look when you do 12 and 13 personnel, it looks like a run, but obviously you can pass out of those sets too. So when you compare his blocking ability and then his upside as a pass catcher, because I remember when I was watching film, I thought his get off was like super fast, like very fluid, basically, is the best way I can um, describe it to you. Kind of felt like when I was watching his film, like it was sped up how quickly he was getting off the line. So I'm like, dang, he gets off the line pretty fast. So I think when you, like I said, take the blocking ability, then you compare it or you pair it with his upside as a pass catcher, which he did some pass catching in college, but obviously I think he was brought here because of the blocking ability and compete for tight end too. But I'm with you as well. Very high on Ferguson. I don't really see him beating out Ferguson unless somehow during these OTAs, he takes just a major step forward in pass catching, knows the playbook, things like that, then that would really push Ferguson because he is a better blocker than Ferguson.
Mhm.
But I think right now he's really competing with Hendershot for that tight end two position because Hendershot is a great pass catcher, but he's not that great pass blocking. So
Got it.
that that's my overall feelings on Luke. I think I ended up grading the pick after research like a B plus. So
Yeah.
I couldn't give it a A, but I can give it a solid B plus because I think he's going to be able. Obviously, Mike drafted him for a reason, which means
Mhm.
he's going to be used in blocking. Like I said, the different personnel packages.
Yes, yes. And so I agree. Like I said, earlier, I don't know if I said it on here, but you're right. At the top of the second round, a lot of tight ends were starting to go. And you're right.
Right, they're
Yes.
flying off the board.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty sure they was like, "Hey, let me hurry up and get our guy." And I also told the people here that every tight end or every person is not fit for every offense, right? So
Right,
we had those two you know well-known tight ends that one went in the first round, I believe, and then Michael Meyer went early in the second round. They're good,
right.
right? But they might
Yep,
not have been for our offense, and what we're trying
yep,
to do. So every player
yep.
is different and every offense is different, and you have to find that person that will fit into the offense that will work for our offense, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And I think, that's what Luke is. He was obviously, for us to pick him that high, he's obviously a need in our offense. And that's what I was kind of trying to get through to people because I was like, do y'all think, Mike would just pick a tight end for, excuse my language, but shits and giggles? Like, he didn't just pick a tight end just so he can have his pick. Like, these are grown men with skins on the wall, Super Bowl winning coaches. Like obviously, if they have a pick in mind, is because they need that pick, or and they have a plan for them.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people were missing that. Focused so much on didn't know them or I wasn't high on them and stuff like that, but not thinking, well, obviously, if our head coach who's now over calling plays if he picked him or put his cojones on the line for him, obviously he's got a plan for him. So
That's right. That's right.
absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
And I will be the first one to say, I was one of the ones that did not do my homework, and I was very upset at the pick. But as time
Right,
go on, listening to you, like you said, looking at film and understanding, taking a step back and understanding how like the tight ends were starting to go off the board at the second round, I'm more at ease now, right? But at first
right,
I wasn't, and I guess I wanted a sexier draft. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
but
Who
those
doesn't?
sexier
Who doesn't
drafts,
want to say? Who doesn't want Drew Sanders, Jalen Hyatt? Who doesn't want those? Who
Yeah,
doesn't want all the guys, all the draft, all the hype draft picks? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Those
Of
are guys
course.
that were super hyped.
Yeah,
Like Drew Sanders, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs, Jonathan Mingo. I mean, all of these guys are guys that were super high. It was on everybody's draft board. So of course you want your team to draft them. Some
yeah,
people even wanted Nolan Smith. I personally wasn't looking, out for Nolan Smith. I watched film on him, but I was like, when is he gonna play? But there were some people pissed that we passed up on Nolan Smith in the first round and took Mozzie instead. So people are, as I said, I'm like, listen, we all put a lot of hard work in the draft season.
yeah,
So everybody wants to see their picks come off the guys that they researched. They want those. You want your team to pick those guys. So
yeah. Well, I didn't do much work in the draft because I was too busy setting up my platform. But I promise to do
okay.
much more work and better work come the next draft
I
round.
saw you did but you did draft show. Like you did draft each draft day, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I did. I did.
Yeah,
I
so
did.
that's also super awesome. I wish I had known. I would have popped up on your platform and chatted with you during draft. But
Hey,
anyway, you can keep going.
let's start. Look, whenever I'm on, I don't have a set time to go on, but whatever you see me on, pop on and come on up. I always
Absolutely.
can use your help.
Now I'm always gonna be popping up on your platform. So
You do that. You
know,
do that.
know that for sure.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's get to our first round pick, Mozzie Smith. This
Oh yeah,
one I felt that it was sexy and it was needed, right? Because the
absolutely,
last two playoff games with against the Rams and then against the San Francisco 49ers, they just been running up the middle on us, and we haven't had a defensive tackle to stuff that middle in a long time. So how do you feel
absolutely.
about this pick?
Yeah, with Mozzie, I was 100% over the moon about, just like you. I was with you, over the moon about the pick because, like you said, we hadn't addressed the defensive tackle in the first round since 1991.
Yeah.
So we've never invested in that. Has been, one of our Achilles heels for years.
Yes.
Is we cannot stop the run, and some people are saying, well, us being 22nd, in stopping the run, it's not that big of a deal because in like DVOA, the stat nerds, they start throwing all these stats at you. We actually finished fifth, all this stuff. But I'm like,
Uh-huh.
guys, not having a nose tackle, not having guys that can sustain and hold their blocks and push back the pocket has killed us.
Yes.
Has literally killed us. It killed us in 2018,
Yes.
right? Versus the Rams.
Yes.
Killed us. The running game in the 2021, we could not stop the run.
That's right.
That's why we made all of our defensive tackles bulk up. Everybody gained weight. Osa put on 15 pounds of put on 15 pounds of muscle. Neville bulked up because they try to move Neville to one tech and all of this stuff. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
try to do all of these experiments. Moving made Chauncey gain about 15 pounds of muscle because they wanted to kick him inside. So and still who did I watch? I watched earlier. I don't know if you guys know, but he's another content creator, DMV.
D-
And he
you said DMV?
yeah, DMV.
Okay, I'm gonna check him out.
DMV fanatic. He put out a breakdown, and I thought that was awesome. So I'm shouting him out here. I'm gonna shout him out on my Twitters as well because I watched his video and he did a breakdown basically like how Mozzie should be used. But in that breakdown, he also showed film on how our defensive line, like even though we love Osa and people on the bubble about Neville, but people love Chauncey Golston. When we went up against the Eagles, when we went up against dominant offensive lines, we were getting pushed off the ball.
Yes, we were.
The
Yes, we were.
Eagles were destroying us off the ball. Like, so when you have a guy, that's why, I don't know if y'all saw, but when we picked Mozzie, Michael's like, no more QB sneak and all this stuff because do you know, like, it's just humiliating. You know what I'm saying? When, like, like somebody can do something to you, but there's like nothing you can do about it. And like that's pretty much what has been happening to us for years. Like we just been getting ran through like a
Yes.
cheap, cheap hooker on the side of the street. So it's like we needed help. We needed help. So
Yes.
Mozzie, with his super Hulk strength, should be able to help us. Based on what we saw on film, he should be able to help us off the run, but also have an upside for pass rush.
Yes, yes. And it was reported that he was the strongest defensive lineman out of that draft class.
Yeah, he
And I'm
absolutely was.
Yes, so I'm pretty sure people have seen some of the film where he was bench pressing and hopping up the steps and things like that. Law Nation even put out video of that as well. So yeah,
Yep, yep, yep.
I'm very excited because I feel like with his presence, it should
Hmm.
be able to allow Micah to eat and do his thing
Right,
on the end, as well as the linebackers as well, right? So hopefully
right.
that will help everybody, be able to eat more with him in that middle and with his strength, plugging up that middle and stopping that run up the middle a lot.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And I think also, um, Law Nation had mentioned this as well. He was like, having Mozzie in the room is going to also push Big Bo, right?
Yeah.
Because Big Bo started off the season doing fairly well, but like after he got injured, he kind of tailed off. And
Mhm.
so having a guy like Mozzie, who obviously they play the same position, it's gonna push him to even get his weight up and be better.
Yeah.
But our coach, our defensive line coach, Aiden Dirty, it was right after we picked Mozzie. He was on Cowboy's YouTube channel on the draft show,
Mhm.
and he was saying how Mozzie's swagger is just like super infectious.
Mhm.
So his whole demeanor is just going to really do something for the defense because they know how important it is to have a big guy in the middle, and they haven't
Yeah.
had that. So I think everybody's going to be pumped,
Yeah.
or everybody already is
That's what I'm about to say.
excited to
Everybody
have
already is.
yeah, to have Mozzie in the building 100%. Yep.
And best believe teams gonna think twice and have a game plan for him because they know his strength and how much he can affect a game.
Absolutely. They've seen it. They saw what he did to Ohio State line. They saw that. They saw what he did to Steve Avila. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
people see that's on film. So
yes, yes,
we definitely we ready over here with Mozzie. It's gonna elevate. This was the missing piece that our defense needed.
yes,
So
yes,
I really expect our defense to finish. I our defense should finish top of the league this year,
yes,
top five at the worst. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how I feel. That's how it better be. I say it like that.
yes,
We
yes.
better be finishing top five.
I feel the same way. I feel the
Yeah.
same way. So that brings us into pick number 3, Overshown.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel that this was a great pick, and we needed it because if we look back last year, how we were using our safeties and bringing them up playing like linebackers, and if you remember or not, both of them got hurt last year
Yep.
doing that.
They sure did. They sure
Yeah.
did.
So, how do you feel about this pick, and how do you feel about Overshawn? And I will say, I haven't watched any film on him yet, so
Okay.
I am like completely lost about him.
Lost about him. Okay. So with Overshown, now I ended up after the draft, I still gave the pick a C.
Mhm.
And I think I gave him a C because I see why Dan Quinn picked him. He is very physical. He's fast, you know what I'm saying? Like and that's what Dan Quinn loves. Fast and physical, right? So he's fast, he's super fast. I think he ran like a low 4.5.
Mm.
So he's fast for a linebacker. I'm not talking about he's like Micah, like 4.3, but he's 4.5 guy.